So if you want to know the definition of cowardly, I think right next to it says Donald Trump. So Donald Trump right now is refusing to accept service of documents that Special Counsel Jack Smith is voluntarily turning over to Donald Trump in the Washington, D.C. criminal case. Donald Trump is arguing in this response to notice of service where Special Counsel Jack Smith is voluntarily turning over a proposed exhibit list in connection with the case there. Trump is arguing because federal judge Tanya Chutkan back on December 13th issued an order staying the proceedings against Donald Trump pending the appeal before the D.C. Circuit. His lawyers say that Special Counsel Jack Smith voluntarily turning documents over to Donald Trump is a violation of the court's order staying the proceeding, and that it is a burden for Donald Trump and his counsel to have to receive these records voluntarily by Special Counsel Jack Smith. Remember, Donald Trump's strategy here isn't to argue that he is innocent or that he didn't do the acts that he's being accused of. The arguments Donald Trump has made and continues to make is that he has absolute presidential immunity to engage in criminal conduct, that he has a First Amendment right to say and do as he pleases, even if it forms the basis of a criminal conspiracy. And here Donald Trump says now that that's on appeal with the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals, he shouldn't get any documents at all. In other words, do not serve me, Special Counsel Jack Smith. Let's just take a look at what Donald Trump is saying. You don't have to believe what I'm saying. Let's take a look at the notice. Response to notice of service by Donald Trump. It says, Donald Trump respectfully submits this response to the prosecution's notice of service, which it filed in violation of the court's explicit order, staying any further proceedings that would move this case towards trial or impose additional burdens of litigation on defendant Donald Trump. Over the last 2 days, the prosecution has improperly and unlawfully attempted to advance this case by serving thousands of pages of additional discovery, as well as a purported draft exhibit list. These actions, the prosecution admits, are calculated to help ensure that a potential trial proceeds promptly if and when the mandate returns. Such maneuvers are exactly what the stay order forbids and impose a significant and prohibited burden on Donald Trump. By the way, they call him president in this motion. I don't do that here on the MeidasTouch network. As the court has recognized, this case may not proceed in absentia, but rather must stop. Donald Trump has an incontrovertible and inviolable right to be free from the burdens of this litigation during his appeal. Thus, as stated in Donald Trump's letter response, neither he nor counsel will review the prosecution's unlawful production until and unless this court lifts the stay order. In other words, even though Special Counsel Jack Smith is submitting exhibit lists and all of these draft documents that you think you would want to look at if you're trying to prove your innocence, Donald Trump and his lawyers are saying, Donald Trump will not look at the documents. Donald Trump is not proceeding. He's just going to ignore all of this service of documents by Special Counsel Jack Smith until the stay is officially lifted. Doesn't that sound to you like someone who is innocent? Doesn't that sound to you like the behavior of somebody who is ready to vindicate his or her rights? Absolutely not. It sounds like someone who wants to come up with any possible thing to delay and delay. And by the way, Donald Trump's notice or response to the notice of service was responding to this. Government's notice of service. And Special Counsel Jack Smith states the following. The court has determined that the deadlines in the pretrial order are, quote, held in abeyance. Nonetheless, to help ensure that trial proceeds promptly, if and when the mandate returns, the government today provided the defendant with the government's draft exhibit list. The parties shall exchange list of exhibits they intend to use in their cases in chief by December 18, 2023. So that deadline is indeed stayed because the district court judge ruled, and it was a very conservative ruling. I'm not talking about like conservative in a political sense, but a safe ruling by Judge Tanya Chutkan to say, under a doctrine called Griggs, when you file a notice of appeal on an issue, whether it's presidential immunity or arbitration, even outside of this context, or something that's dispositive on the case, the Griggs doctrine stays the underlying district court proceeding. There was a recent Supreme Court case called the Coinbase case versus Bielski, decided in June of 2023. That case involved arbitrability being challenged, but the Supreme Court said that all district court proceedings are halted there. So under those rulings, Judge Chutkan stayed the D.C. criminal case and its related deadlines. As per usual, the economy was also a huge topic for the day, and why wouldn't it be? It's changing faster than ever and demanding we all adapt to keep up. With election year on the horizon, everyone is locked in. If you've noticed, crypto and gold markets are surging yet again, this time in fear of a second Trump term jeopardizing the progress President Biden has made on inflation. But the wealthiest families in the world don't invest in risky assets to protect their savings, and you shouldn't either. Masterworks is giving investors everywhere access to the most prestigious luxury asset on the market, fine art. In fact, the big three auction houses posted revenue of a combined $17.7 billion, the best auction year ever. The statistics have been updated recently, and blue chip whole contemporary art has now outpaced the S&P 500 for the last 27 years by an impressive 136%. UBS released a report that found 61% of millionaire collectors invest between 5% and 30% of their portfolios in contemporary art. No kidding. Luckily for you, art investing isn't just for the ultra-rich anymore. Securitization has opened a pathway for the average investor to invest in art directly from your smartphone. Masterworks gives you the chance to invest in shares of multi-million-dollar paintings by artists like Banksy and more. Masterworks has sold over $45 million worth of art, and net proceeds paid out to over 61,000 investors. They weren't art experts, and they didn't need to be. Now, they have over 850,000 users, including me, and over $800 million in assets under management. Offerings have sold out in minutes, but our subscribers can still skip the wait list at the link in the description or go directly to masterworks.art/Meidas. That's masterworks.art/Meidas, or click the link in the description below, masterworks.art/Meidas. So Special Counsel Jack Smith saying, we acknowledge that Judge Chutkan did that, but we're just going to turn over these documents because Donald Trump doesn't have to turn over documents to us. We're voluntarily turning over these records. You look at them, don't look at them. And then Trump's response is, I ain't looking at them. This is a burden. You're taking away rights from me by giving me the exhibit list in advance. By the way, who here thinks that Donald Trump and his lawyers are not looking at the witness list? They're definitely, in my opinion, looking at that witness list and pretending they're not looking at the witness list. But I have good news, folks. I don't just come bringing news about Donald Trump's cowardice or that he's refusing to look at documents. Because earlier in the day, on Monday, the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals set oral argument on an expedited appeal of the order by the district court judge denying Donald Trump's motion to dismiss on absolute immunity grounds or absolute presidential immunity grounds. So remember, previously, the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals set an expedited briefing schedule where Trump's brief is due December 23rd. Special Counsel Jack Smith's and the Office of Special Counsel's brief is due December 30th, and Trump's reply brief is due January 2nd of 2024. Well, then we got news on Monday that the D.C. Circuit went a step further and set oral argument. And if you go back and watch some of my other videos, I predicted that this hearing would be scheduled between January 10th and January 15th. Well, the D.C. Circuit was even faster than I expected, and here was the order from Monday, December 18th. it is ordered on the court's own motion, the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals' own motion, that this case be scheduled for oral argument in courtroom 31 at 9:30 a.m. on Tuesday, January 9th, 2024. A separate order will be issued regarding the allocation of time for argument, for oral argument. So what does this mean? All of the paperwork will be submitted to the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals on the briefing regarding absolute presidential immunity by January 2nd. Oral argument will take place January 9th of 2024. And I think that we can expect a ruling by the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals by on or around February 1st, the latest. I think the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals could come in with an order as soon as January 20th. So what does that mean? That means that the district court case will have been stayed from basically December 13th to January 20th. You want to extend that a little further, say January 25th or so, right? So what you're talking about, over 30 days, 30, 40, say 45 days. So what does that mean with your trial date of Donald Trump, which was currently scheduled for March 4th of 24? Kick that 45 days into the future if we're being predictive here. So say the new trial date will be around April 20th. Let's just see if that falls on a weekend so I can be a little more precise. Let's see our calendar, March, April. Let's say April 22nd, the new trial date. That sounds about the area right now where this thing heads to. So there is, I think, will be a delay, but not a massive delay. And you see Special Counsel Jack Smith saying, we want to give you the exhibit list. We want to give you records. You don't need to turn over. We'll be ready. And Donald Trump saying, nope, delay, 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 delay. Also worth noting, so we have a full picture of the various things that are taking place right now. The Supreme Court ordered Donald Trump to file his response about whether or not the Supreme Court should hear what's called certiorari, which is oral argument on the issue of absolute presidential immunity on a direct appeal basis before the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals even rules. The Supreme Court said, give us your answer, Trump, by December 20th. Interestingly, Donald Trump's lawyers, Alina Habba and others, have said they want that. They said that publicly, of course, but these are the same lawyers saying, Donald Trump wants to testify. He's going to show up. He's going to do this. It's the tough guy act. But in reality, I think it's a fair prediction to make that the same way Donald Trump is refusing to accept the service of documents because he's very cowardly, but also calculating delay before the district court, I think we can expect that Donald Trump will tell the United States Supreme Court that they should delay, they shouldn't hear anything until they get a ruling by the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals, and then they should reevaluate the issue of certiorari at that time period in or around whenever that decision happens. Now, I wonder if Special Counsel Jack Smith can then quote or cite all of the statements by Habba, Trump's lawyer, saying that they want the Supreme Court to hear this and show how that's going to be incongruent with Trump's going to brief. So stay tuned for that. But I want to keep you updated on where we're at with the trial, the different maneuvering here, and how Jack Smith's posturing, how Trump is posturing, or should I say running away, and where we're going, so you can kind of keep track. Hope that update was complete and comprehensive, and you make sure you subscribe to our channel. Let's try to get to 2 million subscribers by the end of the month. That's a tough goal, but we'll try to do it. So make sure you're subscribed. Share the channel with friends, family members, coworkers, anybody you know. Hit the thumbs up button. Check out the audio podcast of the MeidasTouch podcast, and you can check us out at patreon.com/MeidasTouch as well. How about that? All right, have a great day, everybody, and I'll see you soon. Shout out to the Meidas Mighty. Hit subscribe. It's free.
Thanks so much for watching. We're only a few subscribers short of 2 million subs. Please subscribe right now to the MeidasTouch YouTube channel for free and help us grow this unapologetically pro-democracy network.